stock up, DeMeco Ryans.
Mm-hmm.
I was very critical of him after the Chiefs game. He's young. He's inexperienced. He didn't coach well that game. At the same time, it's the freaking Chiefs. He had a banged-up defense. The Chiefs are great. Despite that game, which is on his record for this season, they still have the number one defense in the league, giving up the fewest yards in the league and the fifth fewest points. That is a real testament to DeMeco. And since he got schooled, to put it nicely, by Andy Reid, he has given up 0 points in back-to-back second halves, which shows that he is making the adjustments that he didn't make against Kansas City. Very impressive. If he keeps this up, he's going to be a head coach probably next year. I don't know if you heard what Talanoa Hufanga said about him after the game, but glowing praise, said he's poised no matter what the game situation is, which seems like he's saying a lot of coaches aren't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I caught what Ward said too about the halftime adjustment. He basically said he called one defense for the whole second half and just let them play. I mean, I think that's key. A lot of times coaches overthink things. When you have the better players, you just need to let them play man versus man. Like, let's man up and let your players win the game for you.
Kyle, can you take a hint, Kyle? Do you really need to have Deebo Samuel running like 3 laps in the backfield just to get him open? I mean, it seems like – okay, anyway, we're talking about DeMeco, and we're being positive.
Yeah, DeMeco, I mean, one of the great signs of a good coach is halftime adjustments. Over the last 2 weeks, he's been perfect. He has a game plan going into it. He sees how it works. He goes into halftime. He makes his adjustments, and he's shown that he is doing the right things there. And the 49ers defense is going to be better than most teams that they go against. So I think he needs to kind of maybe if there's anything DeMeco might want to do is kind of go into all games the same way he went into the second half of the last game, which is just let his players play. Like, let them match up. They're going to be the better team a majority of the time when they're facing opponents.
When we watch him and judge him as a defensive coordinator, we're basically judging his play calls. Oh, that was a good blitz in that situation, or that was a good coverage in that situation, or he did a good job taking away that player, or he didn't. Those kind of things. And I think on those terms, he's really has a very good resume. I mean, he's the number one defense in the league. But then when you ask players about why do you like playing for DeMeco? With Saleh, they often talked about he's really smart. It was a lot of things with Saleh, and Saleh is a very good head coach. With DeMeco, they always talk about his temperament, his leadership. His leadership. It seems like this is a guy played in the league, players know, respect, connects easily with them, has a very positive, uplifting mood. I don't know what you would say, but it seems like this is another guy who's probably going to end up being a really good head coach from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with him being a player. I think players that coaches that have been players in the past, they know what it's like, right? And he never really gets too high or too low. They say Talanoa said he comes into the locker room at halftime, whether they're up or they're down, same big smile on his face and just talks football. Here's what we're going to do in the second half. He's never really worried about what the team's doing. He's never too high on what the team's doing. He's just very methodical. He's a good leader also, right? His leadership is key, and not to stray off subject too much. And I know people were down on the whole Jeff Saturday thing.
I was just going to bring that up.
Right. And I understand from the black coaches' perspective. I get that. They do
sure
black coaches. And so I hear that argument. But that aside, as far as Jeff Saturday, I told everyone he's going to be able to go into that locker room and immediately have respect because they know he's been there, he's done that, and he knows where the players are coming from and he can relate to them. And I think that's one of the great things about DeMeco.
I almost feel like Jeff Saturday, if he has success, could open the door for guys like DeMeco, former players in their 30s. It's like, hey, DeMeco also has proven himself as a position coach and a coordinator. He's worked his way up. But to be a successful head coach, as we've seen from a lot of guys who are delegators, if you can lead, if you have natural leadership qualities and the players trust you, and you have good coordinators and assistants, and you have talented players, you're going to be a successful coach. Yeah. Straight up. Yeah. And it seems like DeMeco is a natural leader. The players trust him. He's authentic because he played in the league and they seem to like him. Yeah. And he has the resume of being a successful position coach and coordinator. Seems like a slam dunk right here. And now, of course, the question with defensive coach that you hire always is, who's your offensive coordinator, who's your quarterback coach? And we'll see what his answer is. Saleh had an answer.
Yeah, you know what's interesting too to think about is DeMeco doesn't. Where is his coaching tree going to come from? Is he going to steal more
Right.
Niners coaches?
That's a big deal.
Coaching position, yeah. So
that's a big deal.
Yeah, Kyle may find himself having to find a bunch of coaches again this coming season if DeMeco leaves.
Yeah, one of the things that McDaniel was able to do is poach a bunch of Niners assistant coaches, because I think one thing that's underrated, you could say this guy might be a really good head coach, but who's his staff? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that made Harbaugh successful was his staff was like an all-star staff. Everyone had 15 years of experience and was at the top of their game, and they were like costing the Yorks $1 million a year. And I don't think they liked spending $1 million a year on the offensive line coach and the defensive line coach and the linebacker coach. But that's how Harbaugh rolled. He had those connections from being in the league forever and having a brother who was in the league, all this stuff. So DeMeco, that's the next thing, is sort of building up your network. And I know that Robert Saleh is a very good networker. I don't know DeMeco at all. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I think he'll be fine because of, again, the same reason why the players love him. I think other coaches will respect him the same way. And then there's the other side. And here's the thing.
Real quick, you would think he does have a network. He played in the league with a bunch of different coaches. And he probably has a network that I don't know about. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be fine with that.
Yeah.
What I was saying is there's the other side. And here's where college kind of struggles, right? You have DeMeco, who is a former player, and he gains respect, and he's a good leader because of that. Just kind of his demeanor. And then you got people like Mike McDaniel, who's never played the game. He's a nerd, right?
I think he actually played at Yale, but he didn't play in the NFL.
Okay, so he's never he doesn't have that instant respect that he's gonna, like a guy like DeMeco or Jeff Saturday is gonna get. But what he does have is tremendous people skills.
Yes,
he's very humble, and he's great at.
He has humor. He's funny. Yeah. He can make fun of himself.
Yeah, and he builds his players up, and he gives them that confidence. Like one of the first things he said about Tua when he went there is like, Tua is like one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. And
most accurate quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah,
most accurate quarterback.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff. And Kyle doesn't really have either of those things going on for him. And I think that's why sometimes he might struggle a little bit.
But what's so interesting about Kyle is that he seems to have the self-awareness to know that he doesn't have this quality and that he needs it on his staff. And he's done a great job of hiring defensive coordinators who balance him out. I mean, that's another reason why I feel like Kyle's never going to change. I mean, he's your age. How much have you changed in the last 3 years? Like, I'm sorry, how much have you are who you are at a certain point, and I think by your mid-40s, I'm in my early mid-30s, you probably know exactly who the hell you are. Right. And at least he has the self-awareness to be like, that's who I need as my yin and yang. He's really good at it.
Yeah, me and Shannon, same age. Most of my growth took place in my 20s.
20s.
Yeah. And so I am who I am at this point, and Shanahan is who he is. Yeah.
Yep. Antonio says Mexico week studs Elijah Mitchell, Jennings, and Jimmy Garoppolo. It is Mexico week, but first it's Colorado Springs week. I got to go to Colorado Springs to watch the Niners practice. There's a polar vortex. It's gonna be like in the 20s. Why? If you want to prepare to play in Mexico City, why do you go to Colorado Springs? I'm thinking you might want to go to Mexico City to prepare to play in Mexico City. Some of the things the Niners do don't make any sense.
It's an elevation thing, but it just seems like a lot of extra travel. I'd almost either go to Mexico City or stay in Santa Clara, and I don't get it.
A lot of extra travel. And DeMeco and company. It's another one of these things where you can't just fly into Colorado City. I got to fly in, get a car, drive in. That'll be fun. So I'll get to experience.
You're going to both Denver and Mexico City?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Yeah. And the payoff is Colt McCoy.